Hello everyone, I apologize for the introduction. I had to split the recording and I was also live streaming this on my Twitch channel, so you can check me out on Twitch as well. Mavis Gaming, all lowercase, can't miss it. But I did this recording in two, and it was a 2-hour stream, so I was doing the James Earl Jones thing in like two different voices, rough. And I had a big old jug of water with me too, just to make sure I kept chugging all this down. But I must say, it was very enjoyable. I still get the heebie-jeebies from certain key moments in the game. However, I hope you guys deeply enjoyed it. And just hit that like and subscribe button and follow all the content on here. I would truly appreciate it if you guys did. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Check out my live stream. Check out Pathos Productions. Check out Cold Open Stories for all your story-related content. And you will not be disappointed, I promise. There's a lot of great talent out there that are working to be voice actors, narrators. Sometimes you got like SAG actors coming in and doing some of this work, and it's great. It's really, really great. So take care. God bless. Ciao.
Да, Оленька.
Тоша, куда? Куда так скачешь, чмошник?
From the darkness behind the pines, just like the cavemen from their cave, appeared smirking Simeon with a bunch of his cronies.
Ну, здорово, Антошка.
Хе-хе, не вышло сдрыснуть, да?
Очкарик в дупе Сарикна.
They surrounded me like a carnivorous pride, making me step back. The smell of sweat and tobacco attacked my nostrils. The inside of my mouth felt salty, as if I'd licked a battery.
Алиса!
The name of my companion turned into a stifled cough. Pines were swaying back and forth, like solemn guardians. I was frantically looking everywhere. I dreamt of finding that fox among the trees, expected her to come to my rescue. But only the wind replied to my pleas.
Где Алиса? Что вы с ней сделали?
I shuddered after hearing my own voice. It sounded unnatural, rough and scary.
Какая еще Алиса? У тебя чё, кукуха поехала? Не ссы, ща вмиг вылечим.
The fatso spit through the gap in his teeth and pushed me so hard that I hit my back against a tree.
Ну как, полегчало?
It can't be. Did Alyssa really lure me into this trap? To these bastards? No. No, I can't believe this.
Глядите-ка, пацаны, а здесь он не такой борзый, как в школе.
Ага, вылитый терпиловна.
Ты, сука приезжая, не на того руку поднял.
Simeon was moving toward me, readying his fist. In that moment, the other delinquent in track pants made a loud whistle, and the honking boy lowered his hand. It was unexpected. Seems like Babaroon wasn't the leader of this gang. In reality, they were all listening to the boy who was looking like a small carnivore with very strong and sharp teeth. Probably decided to have some fun at my expense first.
Слышь, Гондон Батькович, это что ли твоя Алиса?
Only then, I noticed Zolka beside my legs, trembling from the cold snow plastered all over its fur. The delinquent squatted in front of the dog and beckoned it with his hand.
Ой ты, батюшки. Алиса, ко мне, сучка блохастая.
The others let out nasty laughs. The dog's ears perked up and she started carefully moving closer.
Иди сюда. Иди, дам кое-чего.
The dog didn't even have a chance to sniff him when this animal abuser caught it by the ear and kicked it right under the tail so hard it flew into the nearest snow pile, squealing. The whole gang burst out laughing, and my heart got encrusted in ice. Even the birds that were perched up on the tree's branches let out frightened caws. At the edge of my vision, I saw something flash in the illusory twilight of the sleeping forest. Or were that just bushes moving their icy branches in the wind?
Ромка, она ж больше срать не сможет. Давай теперь я. Второй раз ебану минус на минус даст плюс.
But the stray was already nowhere to be seen.
Чего ты, баран? Втолкуй его на очкарику, где его место. Только так, чтобы он понял.
Ага, за ним кофякна. Этот очкарик тебе при всем классе всек.
Да без Б.
Simeon brought a sizable signet ring with some geometric shape carved in it up to my face.
Ща, парашник, я тебе этой печаткой так заряжу. Клеймо на всю жизнь останется.
Where did all of my inner strength and bravery go?
Стой!
A wheezy whisper left my lips and my head tilted forward, hitting Simeon's fist. Red sparks flew from my eyes.
Бяша, подсоби!
Simeon gave me a rough push toward the bastard with the slanting eyes, and he tripped me. I fell on a sharp crust of ice, and the fatso stepped on my hand, preventing me from getting up. A painful groan escaped my throat.
Слыхали, как заныл? А ты случаем не педик?
I started to lose breath from anger and resentment. The pain was growing. My ear was hot and pulsating pain was shooting through it, like it was cut off and a ball of nettle was sewn in its place.
Че молчишь, Антошка? Отвечай, ты педик?
At this moment, I felt pure, unbridled rage, the amalgamation of my anger. Like the sprouts ink, it rose up from the depths of my mind, filling all my thoughts.
Твари! Знаете, что мой отец...
Кто-то педик.
Simeon burst out laughing. This became the last straw. Fear and anger were grappling inside me like mad dogs.
Он айкидо занимался, поняли? Он еще воевал. Таких, как вы, с закрытыми глазами убивает. Я только слово скажу, он...
Ramka lifted up his arm, stopping my torrent of lies, and made a couple of steps forward. Simeon slowly backed off, giving me an opportunity to stand up. Did he believe me? Or was he confused by my face, twisted with rage?
Воевал, говоришь? Мой батя тоже воевал. В Афгане. А твой?
И мой.
Да, и в каких войсках, интересно?
I stumbled. Fear chomped at my rage's throat and made it bleed.
Да он фуфло гонит, Ромка. Бля, будуна.
Думал, меня так просто развести? Я тебя, сучонка, насквозь вижу.
There was a nasty smile on his face now. This didn't bode well for me.
Ты сам себе приговор подписал.
В школе тебя училка спасла, ну а теперь все. Хана тебе.
Во-во. Давай, Антошка, молись, чтобы твой труп по весне нашли мне.
Сидел бы ниже травы, был бы целочкой. Жирного стукнул, одно дело. Но про Афган пиздеть, где мой батя под пулями. Долг интернациональный. В даште Марго, блядь! Сёма, ушатай-ка его!
The delinquents closed in on me again, and I ended up in front of Simeon. Blood was pumping in my temples. Branches were swaying back and forth as if whispering something, giving me hope. I gritted my teeth, fighting the thought that I looked silly, and took a boxing stance I often saw in the movies.
Хера ты, Майк Тайсон!
This was my first ever fight. I'll remember it for the rest of my life, if I don't kick the bucket, of course. At the edge of my vision, I noticed the darkness writhe again, as if someone was walking back and forth there. I sensed Roma's claws grab my backpack.
Манатки, Антошка. Махаться мешает.
I was about to refuse, unwilling to cooperate with the bastard, but then he fished out a butterfly knife out of his pocket with one smooth motion, spun it as if showing off, and put the blade to my neck.
Слышь, Фрей, расслабься, а то больно будет.
I let out a cloud of steam instead of words. Ramka pulled with all his might, and my backpack ended up in his hands. Calm and relaxed. An insidious smile on his face. He looked into my backpack.
Ты от нас что-то скрываешь, да? У меня в школе какая-то крыса сменку подрезала. Ща поглядим, может, это был... Опачки!
Ramka gave me a dubious smile.
Так, а что это у нас здесь?
My text and notebooks fell in the snow. He was holding my backpack in one hand and something weird in the other. It looked like a mask. Roma lifted it high, as if showing to someone else, to someone in the treetops, in the twilight among the trees. An old bunny mask. Long, worn-out ears, barely visible nose and whiskers, mangy fur on the sides. Where did it come from? Who put it there? Simeon laughed.
Новый год уже прошел, мудила. Или ты реально поехавший? Это не мое!
Да как не твое, Твой...
Ramka was watching this scene unfold with an evil smile on his face.
А знаешь что? Надевай.
Зачем?
Надевай, говорю. Попрыгаешь перед нами, зайчик.
Давай, давай! Или без штанов домой пойдешь на?
Anything but this. What if someone from our class will pass by?
Не надену.
Сёма, надень-ка на него.
Biasha rushed to his friend's side and took the worn-out mask from him with a buffoonish bow. Then he passed it to Simeon, who was already rubbing his hands in anticipation. I looked around the pine woods, as if waiting for help, as if the shadows that writhed around us would take pity on me and take my side. Branches looked like arms, twisted in unusual angles. Blackened bark was their charred skin, and the darkness was the smoke they produced. I can't run, won't get away. They'll catch me. And then...
Только учти, Сёма. Если он скакать не станет, ты сам за него поскачешь.
Этот чмошник и не станет? Да погляди на него, он же дурик конченый.
Этот дурик тебе уже раз в жбан зарядил.
Ромка прав! Давай, толстый! Восстанавливай авторитетно!
Или сам у нас запрыгаешь так, что тетяндра отцепится.
He must indeed be scared of Romka. Simeon swore silently and glared at me.
Вот. Это чтобы маска хорошо налезла.
He hurled a huge ball of spit on the inside of the plastic bunny face and put it close to mine. His spit looked like a squashed spider. Romka's face twisted. He spasmed like a beast, like he wanted to tell Simeon something, but then he suddenly stopped. Simeon was still close by, with a disgusting smirk on his face and a terrible smell coming from his mouth.
Надевай, быра! А ту урою!
The mask almost looked even more disgusting now. Yet, despite everything, I felt like it was a chance for salvation. It could become my second skin. If only I was to put it on. If only my face was to touch its bumpy surface, I'm sure the fur would glitter, the ears would tremble like they're alive. I just need to put it on, and Simeon and his friends will be gone. Forever. For some reason, Romka's disappointment with Simeon made me feel brave. Something was wrong in their crew. Some old disagreement. I should cut this old wound open. I need to get into their heads. Right into their skulls, their warm brains.
Знаешь что, Семен?
My own voice, sounding smooth and determined, was a huge surprise. I stepped forward and calmly proclaimed,
Иди нахуй.
It felt like the whole world was paused for a second, and then unpaused right away. Simeon's pupils widened. The mask fell out of his meaty hands. He took a while to process my words, looking stunned, as if he was trying to solve a difficult math problem. But the answer he got made him mad, judging by the bulging veins on his forehead.
О,
The others just observed the scene silently, waiting for the inevitable payback.
ты... Ты труп!
His voice tore off crusty ice from the nearby branches. It rained down with a melodic laugh. And then I heard whispers from the treetops, from the holes in the ground, from animal liars. As if Alyssa was in one of the snow piles, like a prompter in his booth, trying to get through to me. With no sign of fear, rather with a tinge of playful rage. That's how this low hum sounded to me. I stared into the clearing between the trees. An orange spot flashed there. A fox, an absolutely regular fox, stepped out of the bushes. I blinked in bewilderment. The animal fell on its tummy and was staring back at me with its burning eyes. Its furry tail was sweeping snow left and right, raising the white powder.
На меня смотри, падла!
I was still looking past him, at the fox that was smiling at me. She grinned with all her teeth while digging a hole in the snow pile, moving her paws as if dancing. Her sharp face was covered in snow. Her whiskers were trembling. The fox put her face to the ground. Shining platters of her eyes filled up with liquid silver. I returned my gaze to Simeon's twisted face. He was growling something intelligible. The fox backpedaled and disappeared into the darkness. And the forest breathed at me, whispering. I slapped my own cheek to chase away the unfamiliar voice. But the message still lingered in my subconscious. This hint was my chance. I stared intensely at Simeon's nose. He was almost oinking from anger. I directed my words at him.
Заткнись, свинья!
Simeon looked paralyzed, as if the medium Alan Schumacher hypnotized him, stripped him of his will. I felt the aftertaste of Alyssa's gum in my mouth. Berries. It felt like I pulled a card from some greasy deck, and it turned out to be a trump. My brain was at its limit. Paulina's words about Simeon getting worse since he moved here flashed in front of my eyes, like subtitles in a movie. All the pieces fell in place. My joker went flying into his pimply face. I was speaking slow on purpose, dragging out every syllable.
Есть у меня подозрение. Ты не просто так перевелся в новую школу. Сбежал, да? Как крыса сбежал. Потому что сверстники бывают жестокими с теми, кто не такой, как они. С теми, кто толще их, например, слабее. И ты решил издеваться над другими, как издевались над тобой.
I saw Simeon's Adam's apple twitch like it was a pump action rifle getting reloaded.
Ты отыгрываешься за старые обиды. Хочешь казаться тем, кем не являешься. Но знаешь, ничего не меняется по щелчку пальца. Знаешь, кем ты был?
The forest held its breath, listening in fascination.
Знаешь, кто ты есть? Пацаны. Еще как...
Bianca was about to come to his friend's aid, but Romka stopping, whipping out his controlling look. Bianca turned around and put his hands in his pockets.
Продолжай, Тоха.
Romka's words ricocheted from the rough trunks.
Знаешь, кем ты будешь всегда?
Simeon looked around helplessly.
Второе имя, настоящее имя, которое дали тебе одноклассники. Откуда ты?
Romka and Bianca looked at Simeon like he was their prey now. I even thought I saw them lick their parched lips. The wind was also full of anticipation, dragging my scattered textbooks across the road.
Свинья!
My thunderous scream echoed through the forest. Trees and ravines enjoyed it. The echo repeated over and over, doubling, even tripling it. Romka grinned with all his teeth. Simeon's hands fell to his sides. He was on the brink of crying. I used this to my advantage. I threw the strongest punch I could muster. It was much stronger than the one in school. I ran my fist into his scarred face and it produced a cracking sound. His pimply cheek danced like jelly under my fist. Simeon let out a sigh and plopped on the icy road. He was touching the place where I hit him, still oblivious to what just happened and how did it come to this. After looking at him for a while, I realized I was smiling. Fatso returned to his senses and threw himself at me, his face twisted with anger. But I dodged his charge quite easily after the great practice I had playing with Alyssa. He fell into the snow and landed right on a pile of dog feces. This made him squeal in agony.
Ай, красава, Тоха! Думал, ты сосунок, а он как жердяй уделал.
Simeon started sobbing after he realized the direness of his situation.
Сука! Че я бабушке теперь скажу? Она меня убьет, когда увидит.
Чего ты там скулишь? Тебя с параши не слышно.
Simeon's futile attempts at cleaning his coat caused a fit of giddiness from Biasha. I also smiled, angrily twisted my lips.
Мастёвина!
А ну вставай и скачи, как зайчик. Только желательно подальше, а то от тебя уже дерьмом несет. Фу!
Идите вы все нахер!
His eyes, red from tears, stopped on me. I didn't even have the time to erase the smile from my face when Simeon lunged at me like a hawk and clawed at my face with his twisted fingers with gnawed fingernails. I threw a kick toward the layer of fat under the coat. At the same moment, the world became fuzzy. The black trees and the faces of my classmates all blurred.
А чё на это скажешь, сука?
He threw up a hand holding my glasses victoriously. But his triumph was short-lived. Two blurry silhouettes rushed forward. Simeon's former friends. I heard the familiar sound of someone being slapped around.
Не по-пацански поступаешь, гнида! А ну гони линзы назад!
Дерись по понятиям, на!
Judging from Simeon's sighing and grumbling, he didn't agree to his friend's terms.
Вы чё творите? Ой, бля! На лоха позорного меня променяли! Ой, 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 ой! Да пошли вы в жопу! Тоже мне друзья!
A huge figure tumbling in the snow barely managed to break out from the rain of punches and ran for the hills, dissolving into the twilight.
Завтра в школе тебя выцепим, хрюндель!
Точно, точно! За базар ответишь, на!
Горло тебе перережу, слышишь?
Ramka and Biasha started throwing pieces of ice at the fleeing Simeon, but then switched to hurling mockery.
Свинья!
The snow rustled. Two boys, clearly out of breath, approached me. I was finally able to make out their faces clearly.
Мои очки!
Блять.
Ramka cursed under his breath.
Гондон этот стащил.
Зато мы ему всыпали одну сына! Завтра вот с таким фуфелом припрется, отвечаю!
Biasha let out a throaty laugh. Hyenas in The Lion King would envy a laugh like that.
Ну и дела. Тоха, ты без очков хоть что-то видишь?
Немного.
Let me. Whew. A hand, holding a red rectangle, protruded from the mist. Ramka was offering me a cigarette.
Угощайся.
I squinted, trying to make out the brand, even though I didn't know anything about cigarettes. I haven't tried smoking yet, and I didn't really want to start. I wonder if they'll keep hanging out with me if I won't adopt all of their habits. After a moment of hesitation, I shook my head.
Спортсмен, что ли? Ха.
А ты в глаза долбишься? Не видел, как он Семёна четко вмазал?
Да базара ноль, Mortal Kombat на! Тоха, у нас Рокки Бальбоа!
Тогда уж и вон драга. Курим одну на двоих, гони жигу.
Ramka pulled out a cigarette with his lips, and Biasha scrambled to find a lighter inside his pockets.
Тоха, что я сказать хотел? Не держи зла, брат. Мы тебя на вшивость проверяли. А то очки эти, еще и маска.
Biasha lit a giant Tbilisi, and Ramka smacked his lips, taking a long puff of his cigarette.
Меня, кстати, Ромка зовут.
He squeezed my hand so hard that my fingers hurt. His palms, full of dry, torn blisters, implied that he wasn't wearing a tracksuit for nothing.
Это вот Бяша. Ты не очкуй. Со свиньей мы лично пообщаемся.
He let out a cloud of smoke in my face, which instantly made me cough.
Ага. Пойду пока сумку соберу, а то темнеет.
I bowed to pick up my now empty backpack and look for its contents, hoping that my new buddies will disappear when I turn around. But they just stood there, passing a cigarette back and forth. Two small silhouettes with a small light wandering between them, with the pine trunks as their backdrop. They were waiting for me to finish picking up my textbooks while whispering something to each other. Romka was the one talking most of the time, though. Biasha was just constantly sniffing with his running nose and mumbling in agreement. At that moment, I saw that old battered bunny mask from paper mache among the snow-covered notebooks. Its empty eye sockets could be filled with anything, with any eyes, but this mask looked like it only wanted mine. Where did it come from? And why was it in my backpack? I picked it up with utmost care, as if it could bite off my finger at any moment. It was just a conifer mask with a frozen spit on the inside. Still, something felt wrong about it. Something was writhing inside it, underneath the layers of old newspapers. I could hear 1,000 of tiny bodies rustle in the trembling fur. Something was trying to chew its way out. Maggots.
Готов, Тоха?
Romka's voice pulled me out of my nightmarish delusion, and I threw the mask away in horror, somewhere I won't be able to see it anymore. My innards were twisted from disgust, but I stood up, trying not to show it. Whether those maggots were real or just one of my delusions, I didn't care. All of this was too much for a single day. I wanted to get home as soon as possible.
Ладно, пацаны, мне пора уже. До свидания.
I held out my hand toward the two silhouettes to say goodbye. A couple of dark, thin lines trembled in front of me. They stood without moving, as if studying me.
С кедрами закорешиться решил. Мы здесь, вообще-то.
I realized that Romka's voice was coming from behind and turned around, embarrassed.
Деревья хреновые, кенты. Ты не ссы! Мы тебя до дома доведем, а то ты как слепой котенок. Так здесь живем и сгниешь.
A cigarette butt hit against a stump with a flurry of sparks and started sizzling in the snow near my feet. The boys let out a strained laugh and took me by the arms. When we were leaving the clearing, I turned around in hopes to see Alyssa. Or at least some orange dot. What if? But I only saw a rumbling tractor that was creeping out from the corner. A silhouette appeared on the side of the road, out of the fog. We made space to let that person through. Because of my blurry vision, in the twilight semi-dark, it felt like it was a ghost floating towards us. When the silhouette got close, I was able to make out the features of an adult man. I recognized his dumpy outline. He was smoking near the school in the morning. The man gifted us with a busy stare as if of cold eyes and moved forward, disappearing into the darkness.
Нет горба, зато дайте губа.
I was afraid that the unknown man would hear this offensive rhyme, but he was already too far away. We continued our journey. We were going alongside a still fire road in silence. The silence felt oppressing, coupled with my lack of vision. So I spoke.
А почему тебя Бяша зовут?
The Buryat kid just smirked in reply.
Потому что я волк в овечьей скурино.
Брешешь. Пургу гнать — это он умеет. А звать его так, потому что блеет, как овца. Все после того, как из черного гаража живым выбрался.
Biasha's face contorted at these words. I could see it even through the veil of blindness. He swayed and started mumbling something unintelligible.
Видишь? С ним так всегда, как об этой херне заговоришь.
Ты сейчас о чем?
Ты серьезно про эту страшилку не знаешь? На черной улице, в черной подворотне, стоит черный-причерный гараж. И он знает о тебе все. Где ты живешь, что любишь, с кем дружишь. Наверняка слышал о пропавших детях. И это тут не первый год происходит. Все местные знают, кто здесь замешан. Даже взрослые. Вообще, везет тебе? Ты вон в лесу, считай, живешь. Он к тебе так просто не сунется. Тупо сечет, что среди деревьев будет выделяться. А у нас эта хрень может где угодно поджидать. Иногда в конце переулка или возле дома. А еще идешь такой себе ночью, и тут раз! Он стоит, где совсем недавно пусто было. Дверь открыта, внутри мрак. И тут как?
Biasha pulled his cape over his head and started howling on a high, trembling note, trying to silence Ramka.
Ладно, проехали.
I was trying to process Ramka's story, but I couldn't figure out what to think of it. During the short time I've been in this snow-laden village, I realized one thing. A lot of people here had some sort of experience with something they couldn't explain. Looked at Biasha, who was pit-pattering to the side.
Тоха, а вот скажи, нахрена вы-то сюда переехали?
I heaved a deep sigh while looking at my feet. Somewhere down below, the tips of my boots scooped up fog. I spoke words that I recited countless times.
У отца тут новая работа. И мама в поселке раньше жила. Давно еще при Союзе.
Здесь же нечего делать, только гнить. Ну или как Бяша, по лесам шастать.
Biasha fearfully shoved his face from under his hood, like a snail crawling out of its shell, and listened in.
Он у нас турист. Летом целую неделю в палатке жил. Здесь, рядом. Прикинь? Хотя от мамки его звезданутой я бы сам в лес сбежал.
We kept on going, but it felt like it was the forest that was sliding by. Pines were the black keys, and the space between them, the white ones. The thicket was playing its old creaky melody, the melody of roots, bear caves, and forgotten taiga skits. Snowflakes flew around, creating a disturbing illusion that somebody was wandering the forest. Somebody tall, unnoticeable, ready to camouflage as a tree or a snow pile. And then, when nobody paid attention anymore, they just continued moving along the road. But it was just a trick of the light. There was no one there. At least, I wanted to think that.
Hold up. Oh, I gotta drink too much water. Alright, I'm back.
Ramka suddenly stopped and said,
Слышите? В лесу кто-то бродит походу.
The skin under my clothes started itching. My stomach started aching. We looked the way Ramka was pointing.
Высоченный, причем с нашей скоростью идет?
There were no tall silhouettes behind the mass of pines. Just shadows, creeping in the semi-dark. Slow shadows. Fast shadows. Hungry shadows. The snow that fell silently from the branch made me shiver and bite into my lip, as if something huge lifted off the tree and flew away. Maybe even toward us. Ramka picked up a pine cone from the ground and threw it into the thicket.
Эй!
His shout ricocheted as if it hit a tightly sprang drum. The echo mocked Ramka. Then the silence reigned again.
Кто-нибудь видел?
I shook my head. The only things I could see were the vertical strokes of trees, the darkness, the snow, and the hazy silhouettes of my companions. I remember the rough textured trunks, the spongy liction, and the icy bits on the bottoms of the ravines.
Пойдемте скорее, а то вечереет.
I was again grabbed by the elbows and dragged along, toward the forest, toward the pointy spires of branches. The sun had finally sunk behind the green peaks. The darkness writhed, spread its shoulders, and started spreading like smoke. It started snowing, thick, sticky flakes, white flies, following the scent of dead meat. My vision had become a small island, awash by dark waters. I was grasped by the same worrying feeling I had in the morning. I felt that somewhere far away, at the edge of my comprehension, I heard a very calm and silent flute playing. The sound was fragile, like ice in March, above the dormant waters of a bottomless lake. I scraped inside of my ear with my finger to get rid of that auditory hallucination. The forest was silent. I imagined a child walking at night under the watchful eyes of pines.
А вы знали Вову Матюхина? Мальчика, который пропал недавно.
А разве мы не его ищем, сладкий?
I shuddered and stopped, staring at the person who was guiding me. At Alyssa, in her unchanging fox mask. The girl was gently holding my elbow.
Что ты здесь? А ведь я тебя потерял.
Потерял, потому что зазевался.
I squinted in suspicion.
И давно ты за нами идешь?
Что значит давно? Я ж всегда была рядом. Да и за кем? За вами.
Stunned, I looked around, but couldn't find Ramka or Biasha. And then I felt her cold finger on my wrist.
Пойдем же. Мы собирались искать Вову.
Without a chance to catch my breath, she started dragging me along through the forest. I was enveloped by the smell of tangerines, coffee, and firecrackers. I felt like I was a small kid again, being led into the unknown. I saw the dark silhouettes of trees ahead. The bushes, hedgehogs were wary, showing us their spikes. Something rectangular appeared in our way like a small box. I became petrified. I touched the edge of my eye, pulling back the eyelid, as if I was trying to correct my vision. A garage made of metal rose up right from the windfall. It was big, no, huge, impossible to move without special equipment. Its walls were painted black, even blacker than the darkness around us. The fox sniffed around, and it seemed like a mask twisted in disgust.
Это здесь.
The worried voice of my companion scared me even more than this horrifying metal box.
Здесь?
Я слышу его запах. Может, Вова играет с нами в прятки, и он решил спрятаться внутри?
I felt like I saw smoke form tentacles that split off the garage, searching for something in the wilted leaves. These tentacles slithered along the snowy blanket, getting close to our feet. And there was a scary screeching sound coming from the other side of the huge black metal gates. Somebody, or something, definitely waited for us inside. Ah, fuck. I thought that my nervous movements were similar to that of a marionette, dangling in the hands of a puppeteer. I stepped forward towards the garage, holding my breath. And gave the sheet metal door a small knock with my knuckles. And then jumped back. For a moment, it seemed like someone growled in pain inside the metal walls. I heard rusty meat hooks jingle on thick metal chains, awakening someone huge who crawled to open the black gates. Nothing happened. My heart was racing. Where the fuck you going? Still nothing. I hesitated to turn my back to the garage, so I took another 12 steps. Run. I heard a weak, scared voice resounding in my head. Stumbling all over the place, I still rushed into the night that was swarming with shadows. Stand by. I gotta get some more. I ran behind the crooked trunk of a pine, sure that Alyssa was by my side. But after a moment had passed, I realized that the girl was nowhere to be found. The forest was mumbling its ancient chants, squeaking, ticking, rustling. I froze. I didn't know how much time had passed before I realized that I was standing in complete darkness, in a circle of trees that were shooting up their trunks high into the sky. Everything around me moved, trembled. My ears went numb from all the rustling. The treetops melted into the darkness of the cosmos. The bushes became empty cells, whose occupants were suddenly set free. It felt like a clawed fang could fly out of that darkness into my stunned face at any moment. I heard a scream somewhere far away.
Anton!
Someone was looking for me, just like that boy who went missing. Tears stung my eyes. A big drop fell from my lashes.
Anton!
The scream was closer now, and for a moment I even believed that I was about to be saved.
Я здесь!
One of the trees moved. It wasn't Ramka, nor was it Bianca. An adult, tall, with long arms. Many shadows that looked like dogs snuck around behind his back, but those beasts were much larger than Zolka. The forest was dormant no longer. No longer it hid its face behind the fake mask. I stood still, like a deer pierced by the lights of an incoming truck, and the beast all stared at me. In this semi-dark without my glasses, I could see very little, but it was still more than enough for me to freeze in terror. A foul smell of animal piss and wet fur enveloped the clearing when the creepy procession with a giant at its head moved toward me. My legs gave way because of fear, and I fell to my knees into the snow. It looked like I was praying to that figure, to the trees, to the darkness. I didn't dare lift my eyes, so when he got close, showering me with his stench, for a moment I thought that his legs were covered in gray fur. I shut my eyes so tight that red circles started dancing on the inside of my eyelids. I don't want to look, but I could still hear everything. His breath was akin to sandpaper that was scratching at my ears. His voice was deep, hoarse. No, it wasn't a voice, a roar. I fished my grandma's chant out of the pool of my memory.
Мертвый к мертвым, живой к живым, мертвый к...
I got his stench and roared in reply. Words can never protect against claws and fangs. I was helpless. And then I heard a familiar sweet voice nearby.
Ну же, скорей! Попробуй его на вкус! Не надо!
Something hot slid across my throat like a meaty, sticky rope. Someone's tongue.
Я же говорила, хозяин! Это наш зайчик. Позаботься о нем.
From the narrow embrasures of barely lifted eyelids, covered by my trembling fingers, I watched a horrifying silhouette tower over me. I was taking in the smell of kennels, compost pits, and moss. In front of me stood a scary horned beast with the presence of a monarch. His posture told me of his electrifying nobleness. His horns supported the clouds, and his popped-out leucomas pierced my ready-to-pop eyes with a thorny stare. His hands were full of gifts. Candy fell to the snow, sparkling with its fancy wrappers. Silvery packs of chocolate bars, and a Chupa Chup sticking out from a snow pile with its plastic stick. Candy rained at my feet. A doll fell nearby, and then it started raining toys. A spinning top, a teddy bear with a torn-up nose, red-headed Carlson without a propeller, a tin toy soldier with a flag, a firefighter truck, and a crop duster plane. The toys weren't covered in blood, but my imagination was painting them with red spots and crimson leaks all on its own. The horned shadow of the beast moved over the treasure that once belonged to unknown kids. Hairy hands reached into the darkness, took out a mangy bunny mask that was haunting me, and forcefully pulled it over my face. The shadows of beasts around us slowly and graciously stood up on their rear legs. And then a light hit my face, shadowing the monster's figure in two. I put up my hand to protect myself. The flashlight's rays slid down.
Антон! Вот ты где. Ты совсем сдурел? Это вообще как понимать?
I was staring at my dad, completely stunned, into the space where the monster was just a moment ago. The clearing was enveloped in darkness again, but I could still barely make out the outlines of toys and candy in the snow. And I'm sure if I was brave enough to get close to the bushes, I'd find animal prints there.
Язык проглотил? Одноклассники твои к нам пришли. Сказали, ты сбежал от них в лес, в самую чащу и... Что это за дрянь ты напялил?
I pulled the mask down from my sweaty face and threw it into the heap of toys. Branches cracked in the distance. I pressed myself into my father's chest, engulfed by fear, and he started looking around, alerted, and spoke in a tone of voice that was much more nervous.
Так, пойдем отсюда скорее. Мать узнает, такой нагоняй нам устроит, мало не покажется.
I reached out for my father, still feeling the chilling embrace of fear. I grabbed his firm hand, felt his quick pulse with my fingertips, then stood up and wobbled along behind my father, following his barely discernible footprints. Back to civilization, back to light, back to the road where my dad parked his car.
Чтобы дома ни слова, ясно? Ни единого намека, где я тебя нашел.
Да, пап.
He was holding my hand as if it was the most precious thing in the world, and kept telling me how afraid he is to lose me or Oya. But it wasn't that sticky like an animal tongue fear. His fear was noble, crystal clear diamond. And I just nodded in reply and kept moving my feet. And then I heard a familiar voice coming from behind me.
Помни, пока ты со мной, никто тебя здесь не тронет.
The car sped toward our house. I pressed my cheek against the window and saw a short building among the trees, a shack darker than night. The garage that was hidden inside the thicket, a crypt made of metal. It almost felt like it was following us. A moment passed, and the building disappeared around the corner. I gulped down my dollar. And the white snowflakes just kept dancing in the starry sky. Mom was going down the stairs, pissing Dad with her trademark glare. Her face showed something between wrath and condescension. Suddenly, her gaze shifted to me and stayed for a dangerously long time.
Так, я не поняла. Антон, а где очки?
Да в школе поди забыл,
bad.
простофиля.
A venomous pause followed.
Весь в тебя.
Dad glared at Mom and then mischievously winked at me, reminding me of our deal.
Ну ничего, есть же запасные. Проживем как-нибудь.
My parents stood in silence a bit longer, and then both of them went to mind their own business. Oya threw herself into my arms before I could even take off my coat.
А я лису видела!
Surprise akin to a shotgun blast. I could only flap my lips in reply. A cup shattered into many little pieces with a loud thing. My mom let it fall from her hands. Her face was pale, and her eyes were glued to the ground. This pause, just a split second, felt like an eternity. Then my mom spoke with disappointment.
То сова, то лиса. Когда ж тебе надоест?
Правда, правда! Такая пушистая! Она у забора стояла на задних лапах, совсем как человек. Она меня позвала, а тут мама вышла, и лиса убежала.
Не было там никакой лисы. Не выдумывай.
Не подходи к ней.
If it was necessary, I was ready to shake my sister as if she was a doll made of cloth.
Ты чего, Тоша? Не подходи, слышишь?
Mom entered the hallway and gave me a surprised look. I hesitated,
Ну, лиса ведь укусить может.
I remembered fairy tales where foxes used to kidnap children. I imagined my Alyssa, liberated, carnivorous, running through the night forest with a dangling sack in her hands.
Это ж была не настоящая лиса. Расскажи ему, Оль.
Она на двух ногах ходила, а еще была в платье одета. Только она была взаправду.
Видишь?
Mom showed us a tired smile, as if it was the only explanation needed. I also forced myself to smile. My smile is like a thin piece of soap right before it dissolves completely on your palm. But when I was left alone with my sister, I whispered,
Еще раз увидишь ее, беги.
Thoughts of the forest beast bombarded me like a rain of candy and toys. There was a hairy silhouette standing in front of me, towering over the treetops. Who was he? What happened in the forest? What's happening to me? I shut my eyes and threw the vitamins in my mouth, washed them down with water. Please, stop driving me mad. Please. I barely managed to force myself to do homework, but those math problems just refused to be solved. Numbers in my notebook tumbled around and mixed in a rolling dance, sometimes running over the lines. My head became heavy from that pandemonium, and I almost dropped it into that chain of numbers. My eyelids felt like there were tiny weights tied to them, the type used in grocery stores. And right at the moment I surrendered and closed my notebook, the memories of my day started flashing before my eyes. I was in the middle of the stuffy school corridor. I could see the literature classroom from here. The faces of dead classical writers on their portraits, the prim and regal prose of our homeroom teacher, Lilia Pavlovna. And around that corner was her daughter, Katya, a snitch and a gossip, eagerly waiting for me.
Эй, новенький, новенький.
Чего тебе, Кать?
She got on her tiptoes and started swaying, while hiding her hands behind her back, and then asked me, with a fake smile on her face.
Скажи, пожалуйста, а чего это тебя к нам перевели, а?
I might have told the truth about this to Paulina, but Katya was selling on the market for 3 kopikas, and it would be the same as printing all my thoughts and hanging them near Volva's picture for everyone to see. So I reverted to an answer I knew by heart.
Это все из-за моих родителей. У папы тут новая работа, а мама...
But Katya didn't even listen to me, just rushed toward the perked up ears of her friends, whispered something while stealing glances at me and giggling.
Да-да, конечно, конечно. У нас тут совсем за дурачков держит. Я вот слыхала, что это все из-за его отца. Он недавно кому-то крутому дорогу перешел, и теперь они всей своей семейкой в нашем захолустье скрываются.
Неправда! Ты все врешь!
А слышали, как он бабулина просто так стукнул? Это каким надо быть уродом, чтобы в первый же день так над одноклассником измываться?
Прекрати! Ты же знаешь, он первый начал!
И будто этого мало. Ходят слухи, что он спутался с ворюгами из шайки Ромки Пятифана. Ой, девочки, сумки проверяйте. Того и гляди, в гардеробе вещи начнут пропадать. Будем знать, это Петров с дружками постарался. Да-да-да.
Замолчи! Заткнись!
Ха! Вон как раскричался-то, будто ужаленный. А зрачки-то, зрачки какие широкие. Опять чего доброго с катушек слетит и руки распускать начнет. Не зря же его мать с таблетками пичкает.
I just stood there in confusion, trying in vain to understand how she found out about my medicine. And what scared me even more was the possibility that her nonsense had some truth mixed in.
Да-да. Он такой же ненормальный, как и его сестрица. Представляете, к этой сумасшедшей дурочке каждую ночь прилетает сова ростом с человека. Да-да. Только что-то ее никто из здоровых людей не видел. А этот наивный простак ей верит. Нет, ну вы представляете?
And then I caught a single kind look from the smirking crowd.
Это правда, Антон? Неужели действительно тебе не здоровится?
Полина, послушай меня.
Как же, как же? Не слушай этого болтуна, Полиночка. Ты еще не знаешь. Он тебя на другую променял. Не из нашей школы. На Алису.
Paulina slouched as if someone kicked her in the stomach, and then burst out in tears and fell to the dirty floor, wailing and screaming.
Почему она, Антон? Почему?
I couldn't understand her reaction, but I still rushed to Paulina's side before getting shoved violently by Katya.
Убери от нее свои лапы, чудовище!
Rage was building up under the veil of my fear. It slowly rose from the cloudy mist. I felt my upper lip lift creep up, showing my teeth.
То, что твой отец бьет мать, еще не дает тебе права поднимать руку на девушку!
My fists became hammers. I couldn't unclench them. Nobody can speak about my family like that. I came to my senses when I already lunged at the angry Katya.
Ага! Слетел-таки! Слетел! Спасите! Помогите! Петров с катушек слетел!
At the same moment, the crowd around her became louder and started whistling and roaring and growing. The subtle silhouettes of my schoolmates became larger, wider. They shot upward, toward the ceiling, turned into a giant black forest, chock full of toothy faces. I shrank to a tiny ball of fur and started shaking in fear before the might of Ulsa. Ridden trunks that belonged to either trees or humans. It was impossible to tell.
Вот ты и показал свое животное нутро! Трус!
Katya's face was twisted with jubilation and ecstasy.
Почему она? Нет! Чем она лучше меня?
Paulina screamed while choking on her tears.
Он! Животное! Чужак!
A scary flapping of wings came from the forest. A pair of giant white ears descended somewhere from above, and I dug myself into them.
Пожалуйста! Вставай!
I jumped up, almost falling out of bed. Apparently, I was thrashing around for hours on the sweat-soaked sheets. Oil's scream pulled me out, set me free from the tentacles of fear.
Антон! Пожалуйста! Вставай! Вставай!
It took my eyes a while to focus on the silhouette near the window. Oil's voice was distant. My head was still ringing after the fight. Sounds got distorted, as if my ears were stuffed with cotton. My sister, as distressed as ever, just kept on repeating the same phrase.
Сова! Сова! Пожалуйста! Я боюсь!
Her tears poured on my heart like boiling water, but I was almost thankful for the owl's presence. Otherwise, this scared Oya wouldn't have woken me up.
Оля, я сейчас. Хочешь, я тебе Мурзилку почитаю? Подожди.
I placed my bare heels on the cold floor, felt around for my glasses, remembered Simeon, his underhanded act inside.
Антон! Пожалуйста! Пожалуйста! Посмотри!
She couldn't tear her eyes off the window, as if it was a staring contest. I found the light switch with my hand. The lamp poured bright light all over me. I got up. My vision fooled me, moving the window closer only to push it farther the next moment. My sister was just a blurry spot. I took a hesitant step forward.
Оль, что там? Что-то случилось? Ты хочешь, чтобы я открыл шторы?
Нет, не надо! Там же сова!
The voice was coming from behind. I turned around and froze from terror. Teary-eyed Oya stood in the doorway.
С кем ты разговаривал, братик?
She stared at me with eyes that were red from crying, with her hands wrapped around her shoulders. Her voice was nervous, as if she was afraid to hear my answer.
Я разговаривал с тобой, с тем, кто притворился тобой.
The ledge outside my windows creaked ominously, as if something huge was sitting on top of it. And the thing that pretended to be Oya started spreading, changing shape, grow to scary heights under the light of the carnivorous moon. The voice didn't belong to my sister anymore. The thing that was hiding behind my curtains got tired of pretending, making me look like a fool. I pinched myself as hard as I could, hoping that the silhouette near the window was just a continuation of my nightmare, a hallucination brought upon by the cursed house. And those don't bite, do they? The silhouette was towering before me under the veil of mist. I heard Oya's shrill scream when someone had knocked on the window.
Она пришла за нами!
Another knock. I stepped back into the middle of the room, as if there existed nooks where I could hide from this horror. The sound was sharp, metallic. The lamp started shimmering. Then it suddenly lighted the whole room and went out, like a candle in the strong wind. The filament inside it snapped with a ringing sound. The darkness that was waiting for that exact moment poured from all the angles and enveloped me. There was only this window left in the whole universe. Moonlight poured through it, painting everything the color of bones that were exhumed from a crypt. Oya started squealing and pressed herself into my back, seeking protection. And then an eye, burning with carnivorous fire, stared at us from the window. No, it wasn't trying to break the window. It was toying with us. It just kept on knocking, driving us mad. As if a giant clock was measuring the time left for us, its pendulum swinging above the abyss.
Уходи! Убирайся! Пошла прочь!
She was screaming in desperation, her hands clutching my arm like a pair of pincers. I could barely make out a pair of wings that spread out above the black spot.
Скажи ей, Антон! Скажи, что я больше не буду себя плохо вести! Никогда! Только пусть она уйдет! Пожалуйста!
The moonlight suddenly disappeared, and the room descended into darkness. We couldn't see the burning eye anymore. I swallowed the stingy lump that was stuck in my throat. I stepped toward the curtains, entranced by the call of this disfigured guest.
Не буду, не буду, не буду, не буду!
The bleak window was creeping closer. Curtains rustled. I reached out to move them aside so I could look my fear in the eye. At that moment, I heard noise coming from our parents' bedroom. Without thinking, I pulled the curtain to the side in one swing. Nothing. Though there was something shining on the ledge among the scattered feathers. My glasses. The ones that Simeon took from me. How did they get here? Was that a gift from the gurgling night? Did that owl really bring them here? I looked at the front yard, at the foreboding clearing, at the toothy forest. Not a soul, not a trace of our late night guest. Only the old lamppost, dreaming like a lone watchman among the snowy desert. The dry window frame creaked. I tore away the insulating tape and the stripes of glued newspapers. Opened the window with a lot of trouble. Frost pinned me with its little needles. The paintings on my walls moved from the draft. I touched my glasses, sure they would melt in my hands. But they were real. My brain was scrambling for an explanation. Simeon and his gang just pulled a prank on me. That was it. That's it. A smooth white blanket was glittering under the street lamp just outside our yard. If anybody was to get close to the house, to climb the pipe to the ledge of my window, they would surely leave footprints. But there were none. I cautiously took my glasses. My wrist was still intact.
Вы почему не спите?
Sorry. I swayed from surprise and almost fell out the window.
Совсем сдурели? Жарко, что ли? Не болели давно?
Там сова была! Тоша ее прогнал!
А ну-ка марш спать к себе в комнату! А с тобой...
Mom paused, directing her seething eyes at me. She was thinking of a punishment equivalent to my crime. In the end, she just waved her hand, took Oya by the shoulder, and left, throwing gloomy words my way.
Завтра поговорим.
I managed to get the frame back in place with a couple of hits, pressed in the latches with all the strength my fingers could muster. The cold left the room, but the fear was still present. I placed my glasses on my nose and started studying my reflection in the window. It didn't look like a face, more like a death mask. Just like the one worn by the boy from the notice board. That night, I was on the edge of joining him there. A black and white face was staring at me through the clearing between student heads. And it wasn't Vova. His face was right beside it. I recognized the fat cheeks, the damaged skin. Simeon. Babadoon's photo was printed out and placed under the glass, like an exhibition piece. 'Cause 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 'cause
I hope you guys enjoyed this. My voice is really, really tired. Please check out the channel and follow me on Twitch. I will leave the links to all that. Also check out Pathos and Cold Open Stories YouTube channels. They put out a lot of great content, mostly Warhammer related. I know Pathos is moving on to different stories like Fallout, and he's also creating his own original story as well. It was like mostly choose your own adventure, which I definitely look forward to seeing the results and the final process and completion of that one. Hit that like and subscribe button, and I will see you all in the next video. Take care, God bless, and ciao.